The desperate wait for news from Darfur. Families cling to hope amidst a storm of violence. The world's attention, focused on the upcoming peace talks in London aimed at pressuring the backers of the Sudanese conflict, was brutally shattered by the horrific reality on the ground. While global leaders prepared to convene, hoping to broker a ceasefire between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, the RSF launched a devastating assault on Zamzam, seizing the sprawling displacement camp after weeks of escalating siege. The ensuing violence, reportedly claiming the lives of hundreds of civilians, has plunged families into a terrifying abyss of uncertainty, leaving them desperately clinging to hope amidst a maelstrom of fear and despair. The sheer scale of the tragedy is exacerbated by a crippling information blackout. The lack of reliable communication channels from within Darfur underscores the urgent need for the London peace talks to prioritize the restoration of essential services. Campaigners are vehemently stressing the critical importance of re-establishing communication networks, allowing besieged communities to warn each other of impending danger, facilitating the delivery of desperately needed healthcare, and enabling proper human rights documentation of the atrocities being committed. Without these vital steps, the already overwhelming humanitarian crisis threatens to spiral into an even deeper catastrophe. The brutality unleashed upon Zamzam paints a grim picture. On Friday, the RSF's raid claimed the lives of 9 medical workers from Relief International, a devastating blow to the already fragile healthcare infrastructure. Adding to the despair, the Sudanese American Physicians Association, SAPA, reported the death of a children's health center manager, highlighting the devastating impact of the violence on the most vulnerable members of society. For 2 decades, Zamzam has served as a refuge for those displaced by the relentless conflict in Darfur, initially hosting those fleeing attacks by the Sudanese army and the Janjaweed militias, the very militia that later evolved into the RSF. The ongoing civil war has caused a massive influx of refugees, swelling the camp's population to approximately 700,000, transforming it into a densely populated city of suffering. The sheer number of people crammed into the camp, combined with the lack of resources and the constant threat of violence, creates a recipe for unimaginable hardship and suffering. The grim details of the violence often emerge through chilling glimpses provided by the perpetrators themselves. Videos recorded by RSF fighters, showcasing their atrocities, have become a horrifying source of information. These disturbing images depict burning buildings and provide glimpses of the widespread chaos and carnage inflicted upon the civilian population. The footage serves as a stark reminder of the level of brutality being inflicted upon the innocent people of Darfur. Shayna Lewis of Preventing and Ending Mass Atrocities, PEMA, paints a harrowing picture of the situation on the ground. "We have reports of civilians being hunted and executed in the streets of Zamzam," she explains, her voice heavy with the weight of the information she bears. However, the lack of consistent communication is crippling our ability to effectively respond. Communication networks are down, and internet access is severely limited, primarily reliant on sporadic and expensive Starlink access points. Even this lifeline is precarious, subject to the whims of the warring factions who can cut off access at will. The situation in Zamzam represents a microcosm of the broader humanitarian disaster unfolding across Darfur. The absence of reliable communication, coupled with the relentless violence, creates an environment of fear and uncertainty, hindering relief efforts and preventing a full understanding of the extent of the suffering. The London peace talks must not only address the immediate cessation of hostilities, but also prioritize the restoration of essential services, including communication networks, to allow for the delivery of aid and the documentation of human rights abuses. The failure to do so will condemn countless innocent lives to further suffering and despair. The international community must act decisively, not just to broker a ceasefire, but to ensure that the voices of the victims are heard, and that those responsible for these atrocities are held accountable. The silence surrounding the suffering in Darfur must be broken, and immediate action is needed to prevent further loss of life and alleviate the unimaginable suffering of the displaced. The world must not stand idly by while this humanitarian catastrophe unfolds.